if you're lactose intolerant, you can't watch this movie because it's got so much cheese.
Sorry, yeah, I gotta go. You guys can do this on your own now.
Nope, end it there. You agree 100%. I'm right.
Welcome, by popular demand. We have to do a bonus episode on Dune, and is it worth the hype? Joining me this evening is the illustrious Kevin Fahey. Hi, Kevin.
Hello.
And I will be your host, pseudo-host, co-host, James Carroll today. And we're going to talk about Dune. We're going to talk about the movie that just came out, obviously, because it's an absolute smash hit. And I actually had I read the book before the movie, which is a huge accomplishment because I have been made fun of for my my reading level since I was like 15. And we somehow burned through
just your intelligence level in general is like pretty low.
100%. We're good at numbers. We're not good at words. But during this podcast, we're just going to talk about the movie. We'll talk about a little bit of the adaptation and then just general thoughts on the movie. We're not going to be getting into spoilers of the book, but we are going to talk about the movie in totality. So if you don't want the movie to be spoiled, this may not be the podcast for you, but definitely go see the movie. It's worth it. You can also just watch it on HBO Max, but highly recommend going to see it in theaters. It's a whole new experience. But yeah. So to talk about, I guess, just started off our move, like watching it, like the watching experience. I feel like is like something they try to plug a lot, especially in like the advertising of this movie. And I actually was like, again, because I am drinking the Kool-Aid, I bit hook, line, and sinker and went to go see it in IMAX at like a Dolby Cinema. So it was like big shake your chair, mute, like sound, and it was like incredible. Like I loved it. But Kevin, go ahead.
So there's like two major differences between us watching this movie, right? There's you who read the book and you're reading the second book. And you also saw it in IMAX, Dolby Cinema, right? And so you saw it on the big screen. I, on the other hand, did not read the book at all. I had no idea really what the book was about other than like space jihad, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then they
say holy war in the movie.
I also, yes. And then the movie I actually watched on HBO because it's streaming for a limited time. You probably have this weekend left to watch it. I don't know how.
I think it's to the 21st of November is when it goes through.
Okay. So I watched it at home in my sweatpants, little screen, only like a little 50-inch TV. So our experiences with this movie are vastly different.
100%.
Yeah.
But Kevin, as someone who like just again like you didn't watch it in theaters, but you watched the movie, right? And you didn't understand a lot of Dune before you kind of got into it. What was your like? What was your one biggest plus and biggest negative? You know what I mean? Like or like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just give me some thoughts.
So, I mean, like. First reaction because we love that. Obviously the cinematography was beautiful. Very like Nolan-esque, like everything felt like real, like very real and tangible. Like the CGI was done well in a way where you're not noticing it's CGI, you know? The set pieces were really nice. I know they were on location. Were they in the Middle East for
I don't know
a lot of it,
specifically where they shot, but it was a very like immersive like movie and a very like
I liked all the actors. I didn't have a problem with anybody, and it's got some huge names in the movie.
Yeah, I honestly think Timothy Chalamet plays Paul Atreides. I'm gonna mispronounce all the names because I don't remember how they said them in the movie, and I've only read the book. So, what's it called? But Paul Atreides, the main character.
I think it's Atreides.
Yeah.
Atreides,
So Paul Atreides, played by Timothy Chalamet. Tim Chalamet is like. I think he's going to be one of like the most highly regarded actors of like our generation, or I don't know if he's a generation below us. You know, like he's
just going to be hot for like these 4 years and then disappear.
Really?
Like I don't think it's going to be one or like I don't think there's going to be a middle ground for him. He's either going to take off or it's just going to like die out, and then we're not going to see Timothy Chalamet in a lot.
I've seen him in like amazing movies too. Like he's a very, very good actor. And then
I actually almost picked another Timothy Chalamet movie for the next movie, but I went with another one, which I won't spoil.
Yes.
But
But in addition, something I thought was very strange, and I knew this going into the movie, is they talked about, or like Zendaya was in all of the, whatever it's called, all of the movie
oh yeah, the
promo.
marketing.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
she was in the movie for like the last 20%. Really?
Yeah, like literally the last like 15
Yeah,
minutes.
because they don't.
You see, the only time she's in it before that is just like her looking at the
Yeah.
camera. Like
Yeah,
that's
well, he
it.
sees her in like the in like his visions.
Her dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, in his dreams.
But you don't meet her until. So I was reading. I remember I read the book, right? And they go through like half of the book in the movie, and you don't meet Zendaya until page like 400. And I was like, why is she in all the promo? You don't meet Chani
Yeah.
until like he goes out into the desert. You know what I mean?
Right. That is interesting. It's weird how like adaptations of books like kind of play up stuff
Yeah.
and like how they kind of run with things. So that is interesting that you don't see her
Yeah.
until like the end
And
of the
I
book.
get it too, because like Zendaya is also a huge name. Like everybody loves Zendaya.
Well, she's making money
Yeah,
for him.
exactly.
Right? Like,
Everybody loves
you're-
Zendaya.
You have Zendaya in your movie, even if it's for 10 minutes.
People are gonna
like,
come to
you're
your
gonna
movie.
show
Yeah.
her.
Mhm.
Right.
100%.
It's kind of like everybody's theories with like, will the next Spider-Man trailer, possible spoilers for that movie, but will the next trailer, will it show the other two Spider-Man if they're in the
Yeah.
movie? And everyone's like, as much as you want to be surprised in the theater, if they have those two people in the movie, they're gonna show it in the trailers because they want people to come to
Literally.
the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a business at this point. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's how they're
No,
gonna make money, is by showing Zendaya.
And I get it. I totally get it. And I'm glad, personally, as a selfish viewer, I'm glad that they did everything they could to market this movie because they greenlit the second one.
Mhm.
That's like the whole reason. Like, I'm like, listen, as many
Right.
asses as you can get in seats, I'm here for it. You know? Like,
I didn't know there was going to be a part 2 until I started the movie, and it said like
Part
Dune
1.
Part
Well, there-
1, and I was like, oh,
what's
shit, like,
crazy
it's gonna be
is
part 2.
by that time when he like put that in the movie, they didn't greenlight a part 2. You know what I mean? But he knew that he wanted to make a part 2, so he called his shot super early. You know, because he knew,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
knew. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, come on, like he's cannot pronounce his last name. I know it's not Dennis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
I know it's pronounced crazy differently, but he had to know. Like,
Oh,
it's
no, he
him.
knew.
Like,
Well,
he's
he knew.
making up this big sci-fi.
Mhm.
Everybody was hyping it up. You knew they were gonna greenlight the
100%.
second one. You could tell me. Literally, you could say it all day that he didn't know, like they didn't greenlight it yet. But like, come
yeah.
on, you
And the
fucking
book's
know
been
that
called
they're
like the
gonna
father of
greenlight
all
that.
sci-fi. You know what I mean? Like, this is like
Right.
heavily inspired Star Wars and like other, very, very.
But
But
the adaptations have failed. In
yes,
the
the
past.
first adaptation was not good.
The first one failed miserably, and then there was like a mini series on TV in the early 2000s
I didn't know that.
also didn't do too
Wow.
well. Yeah. But speaking to the length of it, I know we were just talking about the length of it. I saw somewhere when I was reading about the movie that this movie and like the first
Mhm.
book is covered in like the first 20 minutes of the first adaptation, and it's covered in like the first 2 of like 10 episodes in the
No
mini
way.
series,
No shot.
which is
Yeah.
crazy.
There's
Yeah,
too much content.
it's crazy.
I'm going to tell you, like, yeah,
Right.
my biggest gripe, right? Like, as somebody that read the book, right? So I read the book. I have all the background information. There's an appendix at the end of this book because there's a lot of terms and people and places that are important, right? And I
Yeah.
thought the movie was going like a mile a minute. You know what I mean? Like, they were just burning through content. And I'm like, I can't wait till like they release the director's cut where there's another hour of content that I can go watch where they explain the different
Right.
like little bits and pieces that like they left out, because I feel like, and that was my biggest like, right, like it's good, it's fine for me because I know what's going on and I know what's going to happen. But like if I walked in cold turkey, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know who the Bene Gesserit are. I don't know who, like, you barely
Yeah,
know what the
but
voice
some of
is,
that-
you know?
Some of that, like, it's already a 2.5 hour movie.
Oh yeah, no.
And so it's like they have to like, and it's already like, if I'm being honest, like as a person who didn't read the books and like I don't know where they're
Mhm.
going, like I don't know what's gonna happen next. Like honestly, it's like kind of a slow
Yeah.
burn. Like it's nothing story wise. I wasn't like too like glued to the TV, but so like like that's kind of what I'm getting at is for the casual viewer, like it's probably good that they cut some of that shit because even with this and I was entertained, it was still kind of boring, like as far as movies go and stories go.
I disagree with you 100%, but I understand what you're saying. That it's like that it's a lot of build. Like there's a lot of build.
But dude,
there's like, a lot that happened, Kevin. Like there is a lot that happened.
Okay, hold on. We have to get into this a little bit because the big entertaining scene was like the fight when the
Harkonnens
Emperor's army
it's not the Emperor, it's the Baron Harkonnen's army. And
the Imperial
and
Army.
Some of the Imperial Army, but it's supposed to be like under wraps. Like that's not supposed to be known. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, they attack on the sand planet.
Arrakis.
Arrakis. And you know, as the bombs start flying, I'm like, all right, like here we go. Here's something good.
No fighting. Yeah.
It's like a 10-minute scene, and then after that, it's like Paul and his mom talking about politics in the sand.
Yeah.
Like it's
they're talking about like planning because they got like
through the desert.
Yeah, because essentially it's like I think that they could have done that a lot better and and I think that like another big gripe that I have with the movie is I didn't see any of Gurney Halleck, who's the you know the actor that plays Thanos. I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
Josh Brolin. His character in the book is like this, like he's like a minstrel swordsman, right? But he's a musician, right? And like he's like this insanely talented musician, but he's also like incredibly deadly with a sword. And he's like
right. And you know now that you're saying that, they don't really
do any of that.
They don't really get into that much because like there's a throwaway line in the beginning that he's not really like the person who like trains Paul. But like they're indisposed. I forget.
Yeah, Duncan, Idaho.
Duncan who trains Paul's. Yeah, and he's like Duncan's on like the mission or whatever. So I'm training you, and then they show he's but they don't get into that at all. So
yeah, that's the whole thing. Is like the whole point is like the guys that they like the people that they introduce are like incredibly good at what they do, right? Like Duncan, Idaho, Gurney Halleck are like some of the best fighters in the universe. You know what I mean? And like they don't. I feel like there could have been more shown in addition to showing Paul, because I feel like they did a little bit of that, like of the shield. I do really like the way they did the shield sword play. Like the way they did the shield in the movie was very cool, where it's like they explain.
Yeah, it did look cool.
They explained that like if you shoot something at somebody, it won't penetrate the shield because it's going too fast, and the shield will stop it. Mm-hmm. So you basically have to like lay your sword on the shield. The shield lets the sword pass through, and then you cut. And, like, in the fighting sequences that you see with Duncan, Idaho, Jason Momoa's character, it's very, like they choreographed it very well. Where it's, like, you see it's, like, a lot of lock, cut, lock, cut, lock, cut.
That's a good point. I didn't notice that. You know, I did, I Googled, I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is, like, so, from what I've seen, this is, like, 30 or 40,000 years in our future, technically, because it's the year 20,000 something, but that's 20,000 after something that happens like 10,000 years in our future. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, why the fuck aren't these guys shooting guns at each other? Like, did guns just stop existing? But then I read that that's the explanation, is that typical projectile weapons
don't go through shields.
Don't really work because of the shield. So they've just become almost useless, except for that cool dart.
Yeah, the Hunter Seeker. That's like an awesome scene because it's the first scene you see Paul really do anything in the book, you know? And it's because he's like, and it's the first kind of inkling you get that he is like special, right? Because the whole like that's the story, right? The story is like, oh, Paul's like this special like kid who like has like is like a duke's son and like has been trained by the Bene Gesserit and has like is incredibly smart, you know what I mean? And he has this like, you know, there's like a whole bunch that like goes on with him, and I know that they're going to get more into that in like the second movie. They did get into it in the first movie a lot because they do the whole like the voice thing, like a big thing, which I don't think they explained it a little bit, but like very quickly, and they didn't like, you know, the scene where they do the whole hand in the box thing, you know? They don't explain the importance of that like at all.
It made zero sense. It made to me that scene. I was just like,
and it's
like whatever test. Like I understood whatever test she was doing was to test like how skilled
Yeah.
Paul is in
Yeah.
whatever witchcraft
Yeah.
they do. But like literally, it made no sense.
Yeah,
to me. I was just like,
essentially,
what the
it's
fuck
like
is going
it's
on?
just like this is so like the Bene Gesserit, which is like they've also called the witches by people that don't like them. But the girl or like the old woman that has like the thing over her head that's giving the test is like the head of the Bene Gesserit, and then she's like
Right.
called the Reverend Mother, and then her mom Jessica or Paul's mom Jessica is also a Bene Gesserit, right? And they're just like very
Right.
talented. They can use the voice where they can basically compel people to do certain things by emitting their voice at certain frequencies. They're also like incredible. They're lie detectors. Like you cannot lie to a Bene Gesserit. They can pick up on subtleties in speech. And
Right.
it's
Just like he can pick up subtleties in walking.
yeah, exactly. Like it's like
Because he's like, I know those footsteps.
yeah,
old man.
exactly.
That's what he keeps saying.
There are elements to them that like their training is all about like the human subconscious and like their control of their subconscious and the control of, other people's subconscious, which is what the voice is, But they don't explain.
Yeah.
So the thing is the Bene Gesserit are all female. Like there are no male Bene Gesserit. There aren't allowed to be any male Bene Gesserit. But Jessica trains her son to be a Bene Gesserit, which is like a big no-no.
Right.
Like you're not allowed to do that, because there's basically, I don't know how to say it. They do say it in the movie, but I can't remember how to say the actual term. But essentially, like there is supposed to be this like chosen one, this male Bene Gesserit that's going to be the most powerful and the best. It's like a prophecy thing. Yeah. There's a lot of prophecy
exactly.
and like foreshadowing of that in the movie,
Yeah. So James, I guess like a big question is this movie worth it to see in theaters? And is it worth it to stream on HBO before it goes to theaters? What do you
In my opinion, I think the best way to experience this movie as a movie solo, like you have no pretense of what's going on in the book. I think you go see it in theaters just because it's like an amazing cinema experience, and like it really puts you like everything seems like incredibly grand, and like when you're watching like the the sand crawler go out and like harvest sand, like you see like the worm coming, right? Your seat will start to shake because the worm is like shaking the camera, which is like super super cool, and you'll see like the ornithopters like fly from like right to left, and you like the sound will move in the actual theater, and it's very immersive. And like I was like, it was 2.5 hours. I was locked in the whole time.
Yeah.
If I think like, do I think you can get away with HBO? I think you should watch it. I think it's a good movie. I think everybody should watch it. I get that it's 2.5 hours, but I think that it's a very fun movie to watch because the CGI is incredible. Like some of the best CGI I've ever seen. And like, I think it's a super stylized movie and a very consistently stylized movie. Like everything that you see on Arrakis and like on the different planets are like it seems like it's supposed to be there. Like when they're walking around like the airfield, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like they walking past windows that are like these huge slate doors. And like obviously you need to do that because the sandstorms are super deadly on Arrakis,
Right.
And it's
right. They think about
there's like little nods like here and there that like I really appreciated, because it's like I don't even think they talked about that in the books, but it's like you can get that depth of immersion in the movie that you can't get in the book, and I think that like watching that in theaters makes it seem as grand as it's supposed to be. However, I don't think it's wrong to watch it on HBO Max, because I think that you should, if that's your option, right, and you don't want to pay $20 to go see the movie or $15 to go see the movie, watch it on HBO Max. I just don't think you get the full package.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. I didn't see it in IMAX. I do wish that I did go see it in IMAX. As a casual viewer, like someone who didn't read the book, I don't know if it's worth the $20 for me to go see it in IMAX.
Yeah.
Like, I do wish I'd watched it the first time in IMAX. That, for solely that reason of watching it on my TV, I was like, this is probably awesome in theaters. Like it was made to be in theaters. But man, it's a long movie if you're just a casual viewer. And honestly, if you're not very into sci-fi, like because I like sci-fi a lot, so I could see myself going to the theater to see it.
And it's fun. It really is a fun,
in
like
IMAX?
even like outside of like the outside of like the story being good and like obviously I really liked the story. Like I think as just like a visual movie, it's super entertaining, because like
Yeah. But I think there are probably a lot of people out there who aren't like the biggest sci-fi people who just are kind of interested in seeing this movie just because of the hype that it's getting. Everybody's talking about Dune. I don't know if it's worth if you already pay for HBO Max, I don't know if for that type of viewer, someone who's just wants to see what the hype is about, I don't know if spending $25 to see it in IMAX is worth it. Do I think it's worth it for that viewer to sit on the couch and watch it on IMAX because they already paid $15 for IMAX or for HBO? I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Like, just check it out. But honestly, if you're just that casual viewer who is not super into sci-fi and just wants to see what the hype is about, I would just wait the 2 years until the next one is coming out and just watch it, like rent it for $5, watch it right before, because to me personally, it felt like a lot of setup.
It is.
Like it's a lot of setup, so I'm just like, I almost wish I did that, but like now that we have a movie podcast and I do like sci-fi, I couldn't stay. Like I couldn't.
No, you can't avoid the movie. I think Dune. I think especially if you're into sci-fi, go see it in the movie theaters. It's an absolutely wonderful time. If you're not into sci-fi and you are interested in the movie, watch it on HBO Max. You know what I mean? Watch like Watch once they get to Arrakis, right? And if you find yourself interested in the movie, then maybe go watch it. You know what I mean? Because like that's the beginning is not why you want to see it in movie theaters. The reason you want to see it in movie theaters is to see those sandworms. That's why we want to see it in movie theaters.
Yeah, definitely. The
sandworms were awesome.
The Alaskan
bullworms. I thought they were awesome. So cool. Especially the one.
It was cool.
One benefit the movie had is in the book. There's like 100. I've like complained about it many times, but there's like a little 150-page element when after the fall of Duke Leto, spoiler, and after that the fall of their control of Arrakis, and Paul and Jessica are out in the desert. That is 150 pages of them surviving out in the desert where like almost nothing happens. Like they almost die a bunch, but they almost die a bunch because they they're out of water or they're
right.
like losing
they're
their
living in
exactly
harsh
yeah. And it's like very, at least for me, I don't like survival books. I guess it was very uninteresting to me. But once you get to the point where he does like the duel, like the 1v1 with Jamis, like that is when it gets really good again.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like, I feel like there's a lot that happens, right? So this is going to get into me projecting forward, right? Into what I think the second movie is going to be and how it's going to open, right? Because they got into more. I have no idea how they're going to do the second movie, because in the second movie, they're not only covering the last 350 pages of the first book, but they're also covering all of the second book, which is ridiculous. Like, there's such a clean, like, I think that's a horrible decision. There's such a clean division from the first book and this that I honestly think you should finish the book in a second movie and make this a third movie. You know what I mean? Like, make it a trilogy.
They won't.
Just don't make this one 2.5 hours. Yeah.
Right. I feel like you can do a 2.5 hour movie though if you pace it correctly.
Yeah, but like if I'm gonna be honest, I'm trying to get through this one and it's not as good.
Right.
The Dune one is that's the cat, like the cat's pajamas. That's why it's like the father of sci-fi. This is a good book. Like, I don't read a lot. Read this book. It's a good book. But the second one, I kind of want to get. I've heard that the third one's very good, so I'm trying to kind of get through the second one to get to the third one. But overall, I think to bring it back to the movie, I guess, I think as like Kevin, you've explained kind of how you feel about it as just like a general movie goer. As a book adaptation, I think they did a very good job, right? I think that
I think that's the general consensus too. I think people are pretty pleased.
Yeah, because they stick to the book. They don't change a lot, They kind of they don't focus on certain things. Like, they focus on Duncan, Idaho way more than they do in the book. In the book, they like I think
Yep.
he like is in a few scenes, but he's never like he's talked about as being this like badass guy, but a lot of times it's like focuses on everyone. Duncan Idaho leaves the scene to go do a badass thing, and then he re-enters the scene after doing the badass thing, and it never focuses on him, you know? So it's like
Right.
the scene where he's like 1v like 10ing Sardaukar in that hallway, like it's in the book, but it's like the door closes and they don't know what happens, you know? So
Right.
it was cool to see that on screen. And also the Fremen fighting, like when they're like in the sand and they like pop up and like they're absolute like you know, bosses. Love that.
Yeah.
Because they're like crazy strong in the book. Like they're super strong.
Yeah.
I think it's the reason it's a good book adaptation is because they don't change a lot, and they give you elements that you didn't get in the book that I feel like as like a consumer of this content you really appreciate. And that's like my overall consensus of the movie and like why I was so pleased with it and why I want to go see it again, because it's just fun to experience, you know? Like
Maybe you'll just have to drag me to the
Sold.
IMAX
In.
theater so I can see it in IMAX.
Bet.
Yeah. So.
I'm super in.
Yeah, I think all in all, like I think it was worth the watch. I don't necessarily think it's overhyped. I think my initial reaction was that everyone's hyping this up too much. But like I was pleased with it. I'm glad I watched it. I'm excited for the sequel. But it is a setup.
Yeah, it
movie.
is. Well, it's like A New Hope. Like A New Hope's a setup movie.
There's no True, and obviously A New Hope draws a lot of inspiration from Dune. A New Hope has a little more of the entertainment value to it. But this movie does have those scenes that are satisfying and very entertaining. It's a lot of setup though for the second movie, so you just have to go into it ready for that. But I think it was worth it. I think it was worth my time in there. I'm sure it's worth going to see it in IMAX, just for the like if that's what you like. If you like seeing these big pictures on the big screen, like I could see how that would be good just from watching it on my TV.
Kev, what I'm taking from this is we're going to see it in IMAX.
Okay, yeah, we'll lock a date.
Yeah, but overall,
yeah,
I definitely. So as
should I guess the Metascore? I didn't even look at the Metascore.
I will pull it up now, but yes, guess the Metascore. I'm gonna guess it too because I don't know it yet.
Okay, I feel like it's gonna be like an 81.
81. I actually think they're gonna be a little harder on Dune.
I was just gonna say it could.
I think it's gonna be a 74.
But I can't imagine it going. Yeah, I can't imagine it going below 70. Like I don't think there's any.
74. It is 74.
Nice.
I was like, because I think it's like I do think that it like there are points when it.
Because
it's set up. It drags a little bit, but I loved it again. So if you read the book, if you haven't seen the movie yet, you go see the damn movie. You know what I mean? But like, if you haven't read the book, you'll still enjoy the movie. It's definitely worth the hype. It's a great movie. It's the best movie I've seen in theaters in a while. I honestly think, you know, like, because I haven't through COVID, I didn't go to the theaters that much, except for Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying is I've seen 2 movies in theaters since COVID, and I'm about to watch my 3rd tomorrow night. But and that was literally just A Quiet Place 2 and Shang-Chi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's
it's
a good excuse to go.
Is it really saying much?
Yeah, it's a good excuse to go.
This is a good excuse to go. This movie is a good excuse.
Yeah,
to go.
100%. So Dune worth the hype? Yes, it is.
Yes.
Awesome. Well.
Worth the hype.
Thank you all.
Go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it. Yeah. Go give them your money because I want to see Dune 3. Anyway, Kev, do you have anything else before I plug us?
No, nothing else.
Well, thank you all for watching. Again, this is a response to a poll we did on our Instagram. So please go follow us at Flix_fellas. We're very active on there. We put polls in there all the time to get feedback from our listeners as to what you want us to see. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. We're trying to grow our base on there, and we really appreciate it. It costs you nothing, and and it's really fun to click red buttons. So do it. If you're listening,
This isn't Twitch. You don't pay for your
Exactly.
subscriptions, okay? Just please
it's free real estate.
subscribe to us. It's free real estate.
But we really appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, nice and easy.